I fake it too, I understand.
Okay.
So you can try harder when you're going to fake it and get away with it. Like, I don't know which one bothers me more, the faking it or the half-assing it.
What?
Yeah, half-ass faking is pretty much a death sentence, but I'm pretty sure it's the half-assing, not the faking. Okay.
What is going on?
Now, Hayden, we are ready to record, please. Oh, are we on already?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Have we been on for 37 minutes or just
37
17.
Perfect, bro. Thank you. Okay. We got a plan for Monday and Tuesday because when you guys are here on the day before the exam or the day of the exam, I will be holding my breath underwater in the Pacific Northwest hunting for abalones. So you, lucky you, get my awesome good friend substitute, Thomas, who's a super nice guy, real bro. Extremely relaxed. Really nice guy. And I got to make sure that you guys know what to expect. There will be a Monday side of the board with instructions and papers, and a Tuesday side of the board with instructions and arrows and papers and stuff. On Monday, you'll pass back papers, hand out the Unit 4 exam. The whiteboard will have the key, the curves for each period, and it will have an example of how to appeal in case you need to appeal. There will be an arrow that says appeals only this box, and another that says, don't forget, don't steal the Unit 4 stuff, this box. And your only job on Monday will be to maintain order, not make a mess, don't throw papers, and don't steal my test documents. Since I won't be displaying the answer key on the screen, you can just walk up and see what happened and probably finish in 5-10 minutes. Super easy, very relaxed. Most of Monday you can kick back. My homie Thomas is a real bro, super nice guy. You can just hang out with him. He's really friendly. Very cool guy. Oh, on Monday there will be a reminder so you don't have an excuse on Tuesday that pens are now mandatory. On the short answer,
Why is that?
Prepare us.
because 2 students have turned back appeals where they cheated by adding content or changing their content.
Idiot.
And so they ruined it for all of you. I know, right?
How did you catch them?
Well, I'm much wilier than people think.
Wiley's mom.
I'm smarter than I look, which isn't difficult. So anyway, we caught him, and that's fine. And then
Oh yeah.
we're going to have to handle the appeal process a little differently in the future. That's why you got to start writing it down. Cool. So there will be the Monday directions. On the Tuesday directions, it'll remind you to assemble your packet in the order that they were due, including the warm-ups at the bottom. There will be a little reminder about how to fill out the Scantron, a box where you drop in all the stuff. Everything the same as it's always been. And you'll sit down, you'll run the video, run the timer. I gotta warn you that my buddy Thomas is not really a stickler for timing. He's been my primary test day substitute. You still haven't met him because he's had a busy fall, but he's probably given more of my tests than anybody else. He knows the whole deal and where they go and how to do the thing. But just in case, if he gets a little bit carried away bird watching or something, make sure you get him back on track with the timing. You must advocate for yourselves if you want to get the full amount of time for your exam. Are there any questions about this? Cool. Anybody know good abalone diving spots in Sonoma County?
Pop Charlie.
All right, yeah. Excellent advice. Bingo. Okay. Then take out your study guide. We need to get all the arrows straight.
What?
Stars, not arrows. That was a weird fumble.
Honestly, though, I know someone who does a lot of diving, like he scuba dives and is an instructor and does a lot of lobster and diving and stuff, and he lives in Sonoma. So if you want, I could ask him.
That would honestly be great, even if you just exchange our phone numbers or something.
Yeah. I mean, he's like an employee at a diving company, so like he goes out a lot.
Burning, throw it at her.
Wait, Maddie.
It's not.
All right. So remember that the stars do not tell you what will be on the exam. The stars merely give you warning to focus on certain parts of the material. Because it's extra tricky, or it shows up all year, or shows up on the AP test. Don't forget your genetic diversity, habitat diversity, genetic risk, and genetic bottleneck. That set of concepts is worth 3 stars.
Genetic bottleneck.
Yeah, the whole issue of risk and diversity and bottlenecks, it's all one issue, so I'm clumping those terms.
Bottlenecks where it's like you have a bunch and then you kind of balance.
Right, that's right, that's right. Now, the key deal with genetic diversity, as it applies to this unit in particular, is that preserving specimens doesn't really do you any good if they're not interbreeding. So for example, with the panda bear program, we took a bunch of panda bears out of the wild, and we thought, oh my God, their habitat is gone. Let's keep them alive. Send one to Sydney, Australia, and send one to Los Angeles, and send one to Brooklyn, and send one to wherever. But exactly, that's just putting them in solitary confinement, basically. And that does you no good ecologically or for the panda bear. Now, funny story with the panda bears is we buy them plane tickets to give them conjugal visits now. So literally, we take the Sydney, Australia stud panda, and we go, bro, I got this lady I'd like you to meet in Los Angeles. Or wherever. And you put them on giant cargo planes and spend $5,000 to fly them with veterinarians and have them walk in and look at the lights.
Isn't that really stressful on the animals?
Yeah, yeah. And so the alternative plan to maintain genetic diversity is to give them a little helping hand. And then you just ship the sperm around.
Oh.
Or you ship the eggs around.
But it's a bear.
Yes! It's a bear! The bottom line is you've got to get as many individuals into the breeding pool as possible. Whether you're shipping the individuals, shipping their sperm or eggs, or keeping them all in a single area. For the purposes of conservation, which we're talking about now, the number one, most critical, most important thing is that they get as many individuals in the breeding pool as possible. Don't confuse your richness, evenness, and dominance. It wasn't supposed to be rocket science, but just don't confuse them. Oh, I don't know, one or two, I don't really care. There's also a little bit of terminology in the chapter 14 vocab, which is like seriously not supposed to be confusing or anything. The maximum sustainable yield, minimum viable population, and optimum sustainable population, those are exactly like they sound. It's just supposed to be, what's it called? The English definition of those words. Also, don't confuse your endangered and your threatened species. Number 2 gets a star. Number 4 gets a star. 8 gets a star. 10 gets a star. Number 11 gets a star. ... question mark. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, is the catch shares the catching and tagging?
Is the what? The who's what?
Is catch shares, is that you only catch so much or you only catch a percentage?
Yeah, it's the stock market idea. Now, let me explain why I gave that a star ... question mark. Catch shares are not really the biggest bit of curriculum for biodiversity. But it is a really important concept because some of you realize that it's really hard to manage biodiversity. It's really, really tricky to manage biodiversity. Because you can say, hey, leave the biodiversity alone, nobody make money on it. Or you can say, all right, fine, take some, and you can make money on it. But it's not often that you can find a way to conserve a limited natural resource and profit by doing that. By monetizing the future of a natural resource, you create a market for it. And that is the perfect union, the holy grail of the American political discourse. You see, a person who leans on the right of the political spectrum would say, well, it's market-based, I like that. And a person who leans on the left of the political spectrum would say, well, at least it's conservation-minded, I like that. And there's very clear scientific data that it's both profitable and conservation-minded. And those market-based conservation solutions, those are really special. There aren't many examples. That's why I gave it a ... question mark. Because I don't really know where that comes up in this content, but catch shares are a neat thing for you to know. 12 gets a star. 19 gets 2 or 3 stars. gets a star. 23 gets a couple. 25, I know it's just stuff to memorize, but it'll be on the AP test, I know it. 28 gets 2 stars, but you probably learned this already. You should have. 30 gets a star, 32 gets a star. And remember that day when I had an overhead and I gave you notes about endangerment of species and you had to do species assignment? Those notes get 3 stars. That was really important. Now, I'm done. But if you have questions on things that we've covered or left behind, uncovered or whatever, I can help you. How can I help you? I'm here to help you. Yes?
What is problematic about using the logistic growth curve to set harvest limits?
Well, so the logistic growth curve describes what happens in a consistent, perfect setting, in a consistent, perfect environment. So it's true that species grow like this on the logistic growth curve as long as the carrying capacity of the system doesn't change and the details of their environment don't affect our reproductive rate. In a theoretical sense, it makes perfectly good sense. But there's also the reality of the situation, which is the carrying capacity of systems always changes. And second of all, the species' reproductive rates are not consistent and they're very difficult to predict in the long term. Especially for stuff like tuna, for example, it's the great example. Sure, if you leave tuna alone in a perfect system that's consistent, you could measure their predicted growth curve. And you could really get very accurate guesses at how their population will behave in the future if the environment is consistent and nothing else is changing. But we know that their diet is changing, we know that their environment is changing. And so making those predictions about how many you expect to have next year is fraught with error. You know what I mean by that? Yes?
What's functional extinction?
Functional extinction is when you still have some individuals around, but practically speaking, they're not doing enough to keep the species alive. Like they're all female, so they can't reproduce, or they're all beyond the reproductive age, or something like that.
You want punctuated?
Punctuated extinction, those are the mass extinction. Remember we talked about a big die-off followed by a big explosion of speciation? Punctuated extinction and punctuated speciation. Yeah?
Could you do richness, evenness, and dominance together with
Yeah, richness is just how many species in the system. Evenness is if the individuals are evenly distributed between the species. Dominance is if the individuals are more common in one species than the others. Remember we talked about a school with 97% white desks?
Yeah.
That would be dominance of white desks.
Wait, richness is how many species or how many individuals?
How many species? So a richer ecosystem will have more species.
What's optimum system
Kind of like you would guess. It's the most optimum number of individuals, population, you can keep in the same place year after year after year after year. Sometimes, if you let the population get too high one year, they'll damage the system and not have enough for future years. So that's above the optimum sustainable population.
What's the name of the current extinction?
Holocene. 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 Who else? Oh, I could read the newspaper.
Do it.
I could eat my burrito. Oh, yes, Marissa.
Functional extinction and punctuated.
Dang it. For whom did I define functional? You could ask Hannah. And for whom did I define punctuated?
Yeah. What?
Okay. Yes.
What's some creatures that are more important than larger creatures besides ants?
Well, it's not just ants, but I would say the little creatures, because they're the decomposers, the nutrient cyclers. You know, they close the loop between waste product and e-production. Remember we talked about how biodegradation is probably the most important process on the planet, because you can't have anything else without it.
Tell us that story. I don't know what it was.
Sharks.
I'm down to tell that story, I guess, but are we done talking about content?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
5?
Yes.